So we went to the junkyard and we found a PCM. The wiring is pretty similar to before. The switches. It's gonna be part 2 of the power window conversion. So essentially, I wanted the key fob next. So the next step was getting power switches, unlock and lock. When I was looking at the routes, like I said before, I got an aftermarket one. We were gonna install that one. The downside of that is you're adding a lot of more wires that aren't OEM, and I didn't want to have the wires, and then there was 2 extra modules that were going to be under the dash. So when we looked into it, we decided to go with the BCM route. The BCM route, you're able to keep the OEM harness. It sounds complicated, but to be honest, it's not too complicated. Flashing the BCM or programming it only takes about 30 minutes. It's not too hard. It sounds hard, but it's not too hard. And then the wiring wise is everything's plug and play. So from the original setup, I just added the power latches on both the driver and passenger side. The old harness had the cables already on there, like I said when we did the conversion. So I just installed the latches, plugged them in, that's set. The next thing was getting power to those. Mine were spliced, so I had to solder them back together to get power, but if yours aren't sliced, then it's just plug and play. And then the old setup, you don't need a thick and thin to switch and constant power for the cables. On both sides, we combined the thick orange one, the thin orange one together in one piece, and then ran it from the driver's side to the passenger side, and those both T in the middle under the steering column to a constant 12 volt. So the old setup is a little different. I'm gonna talk about the pros real quick about doing it with the BCM. The pros are the light turns on when the door opens. When you put it in drive, it locks and unlocks manually with the BCM, since the BCM knows that you're in drive without doing extra wiring. The next step is going to be just getting an OEM key fob and programming it, which is pretty simple. I'll probably make a video on that. Essentially works like OEM. If I add power mirrors, the power mirrors will work also. Oh, the only con right now is when you do the BCM, what I was told is you need to get the airbag module. I got the airbag module with the BCM from the same truck, and my airbag light is on. But essentially, I mean, it's just a light. I'm not worried about it too much myself. So if you are, I probably wouldn't do that. So if I were to do it again, I would probably just go all OEM route, and not like before that I did the power window conversion and then do this. It's kind of like 2 times the job. Like essentially, you could do it all in one go. Just grab everything from a used truck that has power window switches, and then take the harness, plug it all together. For the wiring, like I said, pretty simple. 2 orange thick ones together from both sides, combine them, tee them to the middle to the constant 12 under the dash. We also added the 40 amp fuse in between, and that's essentially it. Alright, and then shout out to Devin from Dirty Boys Garage. I reached out to him when I had questions myself. Like I said, this is my first time doing everything, but at the end of the day it worked, and he was helpful with all the information he shot. Alright, so on today's video, we're gonna try to install the power door lock kit. So it looked pretty complicated right out the box with all the wires, but after reading the instructions about an hour later, I laid everything out and I could explain how the wiring's supposed to be set up. So I'll start on the back end. Over here, pretty simple. You just install the main component, like it's called like the plunger. So the plunger, all the wires get connected to the color code. Obviously, you mount it to the bracket. Follow this. Same thing over here on the probably like the passenger side or the opposite side. And then over here, you simply mount it to a constant 12 volt, a ground, probably the battery on this one. Over here, it ends with the like transmitter or some shit, but essentially you got this brown and this white one coming out of it, and that one gets connected to this box. This box, you take the white and the green. The white and green wire get connected to the brown one. The blue and white wire get connected to the white one. So these are the same. And like I said, you pull that from over here. This is the controller like module. So that's, I don't know. But essentially I laid it down and I read the instructions. All this is just for the other stuff if you want to add the other features. There's the antenna. And then same case scenario over here, it's just going to be a battery constant 12 and then a ground. So it doesn't look too complicated after laying it all like that. So essentially, like I said, if I do that, then they should work inside the truck. Alright, so the power windows still work.
A few inches later.
Long story short, I didn't want to do it this way, and instead I ended up going to pick up a BCM. So we went to the junkyard and we found a BCM for the inside. Essentially, this is going to allow me to use the switches on the truck right now. Long story short, if you want to get power windows, like I said, without the BCM, I made the video explaining how I did that with the truck right now. The next step after that is essentially getting power door switches. I was going to do a keyless entry this way, an aftermarket system, but I decided instead I'm going to make the switches work inside the panel, so I need the BCM. I'm going to try to make a video. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm going to make a video showing what I do. So I got the BCM. If you guys are concerned about it, this is the specs I got. So the body control module, you to get any year from 03 to 06. If it's, like example, a new BS like mine in 03, you want a gas, unless yours is diesel maybe, I guess you get a diesel, but I got a gas. You want factory power locks and windows, which this one did have, that we took it out from. A single or extended cab, mine's an extended, this one was an extended. Had the same climate control, so there's power climate control, but this one had the knobs, so it's the same. And then this, we also got the airbag module, so the airbag light isn't on. And that's essentially basically what you want to grab. So we got both of them, and then also just like I said, not 4x4, and mine's a 2-wheel drive. So I'm pretty sure this was a 2-wheel drive, 4.3. So this is literally what we wanted, like perfect scenario. So I got the BCM and the ABS or airbag module. So right here I already have my my power door actuators. This one doesn't have power, it's the original one that's in there. And I already have my harness, so it's plug and play also, see? So I just plugged it in. And next step is gonna be putting on the airbag, the modules in the BCM under the seat, and then testing it out and seeing if it works, basically. So it shouldn't be too hard. Alright, so the BCM's right here, so we're just gonna take it off and put on the new one. The battery's already disconnected. Alright, so this is the new one and this is the old one. They look exactly the same, but like I said, apparently they need to be matched or else the airbag light will be on. This safety lock. Alright, so I just pulled this out a little bit, and then there was just 3 bolts holding it in place to cover it, and then just pop it out. Last thing, let's take out the BCM. This was the one that we tapped into the little green wire before. So we're gonna find out if we need to untap it maybe. I'm not exactly sure, we'll find out. If you already did the power conversion. Alright, so we got the old BCM. Alright, so this is the new one. The first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna try to crank it over and see if it turns on. And if not, I'm telling you the module needs to be calibrated. I just want to see what it does. Yeah, so it won't turn on.
Now when that light stops blinking, we're going to do that again. We're going to do this procedure for a total of 4 times. And on the 4th time...
Alright, so we programmed the BCM to the truck. I'm going to install video on the video I watched to make it work. I ended up wiring that side already, and that one works. Check it out. If you look over there, you can see the actuator move. Lock and unlock. So we already got that, and the BCM works because when you turn on the truck, it runs. So on this side, you can see right here, the wire looks to be fucked up. But we're gonna try to figure out why this side, the actuator doesn't work when we have it plugged in. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna be both these wires that aren't connected, and that's why we're not getting power to this one. So we're gonna splice them together real quick. Moment of truth. Ooh. Yeah, they work. Alright, so the wiring is pretty similar to before. Essentially on the driver's side, the thick and thin orange one are combined together, and I ran that wire to the passenger side. Same scenario on that side. You have the thick and thin orange one, combine them together, it runs across under the dash, teed off to a 40 amp fuse, and then teed off to a 12 volt from the steering column. On the steering column, there's 2 red ones that I'm pretty sure are the same, but I pulled it from the lower one. So from the steering column, there's 2. There's one up top and then one at the bottom. They both meet up right here. But if you follow it, I pulled from the bottom one all the way down here. And all this goes back together like this. Just like that. Alright, so before the BCM swap, the lights wouldn't turn on by themselves. You would have to manually turn them on. The switches didn't work. This is with no key. With a key in, you get the windows. No key, windows don't work like OEM. You also get the power mirrors. Before also, when you would take out the key, the dash lights stayed on, mainly because the BCM isn't swapped, so